There's honestly, truly nothing like coffee. So, okay, let's go to the desk area. And use this as my mic. We are kind of in my desk area, a little bit in my desk area. I have like a little lounge area. Before you all ask, because I know you're gonna ask, where's this chair from? Crate and Barrel. I love this chair because it's like really big and I feel like I can get cozy in it. And so I want to get cozy with you all. I reached video 25, so this is video 26 if you're watching this. And I just had a moment where I wanted to reflect on a few things while like recapping a few things. First of all, those of you who are new here, I'm Candace Marie. I am a social media consultant and strategist and creative. So you're asking yourself, what does that mean? What does that mean? I think to give a little context, I always say once people understand what I did before in the corporate realm, they kind of understand what I do consulting a little bit better. My whole corporate background has been in social media, but specifically within the luxury fashion space. I previously was at Barney's New York. I was their very first social media manager, maybe their only social media manager. I got a few promotions in that job role. But then I left and went to Prada to lead social media for Prada USA. I gained so much knowledge in those spaces, more particularly in the luxury fashion space, and I completely loved it. I really felt like I was able to set the foundation and groundwork for what social media was within the luxury fashion space, just because it wasn't very popular when I started off. I specifically remember being in a lot of fashion spaces and it was looked down upon to do social media. And once it started to thrive and become, the more traditional marketing, people were like, oh, we actually need this thing. So that's how, I got started. And that's what my corporate experience looked like within social media. During the pandemic time, I left Prada to basically go out on my own and consult full time, doing the exact same thing I was doing, but more so on my own terms. And the beauty of it was I left Prada and took them on as a client. I did my job very well. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. I do an excellent job in what is social media strategy, influencer marketing, and social media management. Anything dealing with social media, I can do. My favorite part is to do the social media strategy. I love to come up with the concepts of what that looks like. Social media is no different from any other marketing. It just is a different platform and a different appearance. You know the saying, there's nothing new under the sun? It truly is nothing new under the sun. It just takes these different forms, and social media is the space that it is now. So I left Prada. I went fully consulting. During that time frame, not only was I consulting for luxury fashion brands, I went and started consulting for different celebrities. Let's say a celebrity or an artist dropped an album. What does that look like? What does the social media rollout look like? It's nice because I don't have to just stay in the luxury fashion space. I've played in the tech space. I've played in the beauty space, the home space, any space you name it. I've probably done some sort of social media consulting when it comes to that. So if that's what you're looking for and you are a more corporate company, I don't do individuals or other creatives unless they're larger creatives, but that just kind of gives an overview of what I've done. If you want to look more into that side of my work, I would encourage you, go to my website. You can see a lot of the clients that I've worked with. And while a lot of my job comes with a level of confidentiality, I think that's why a lot of times people don't know exactly what I do. So they base what they think I do off of what they can see on social media, which is a very small lens of what I choose to share. But if you want to see a little bit more and find out a little bit more about me in its totality when it comes to consulting, my website is the best place to go. I want to take some time also to answer a few questions, just because a lot of times I get a lot of the same questions on my YouTube. Let's start with the very first one that I know you're probably asking. How do I film? What do I film on? What do I edit on? Anything coming to filming and editing. And I get this also comment that I actually love and I appreciate, and I'm so thankful because I feel like it's the best compliment ever, is that, oh my gosh, your quality is so crisp and clear and the colors are popping, and I love comments like that because it tells me that I'm doing my job and exercising a muscle. So outside of consulting, naturally I'm going to be a creative. We're being creatives, you know, on these platforms. So a part of consulting is also the creative aspect of it. Me personally, I love to have the creative outlet of having a YouTube, having an Instagram, having these different platforms that I can create for, because I get this asked so much. And I can copy and paste for days. However, I thought about this end of last year being like, how can I, because I know the everyday person that looks maybe at my content or looks at the things that I do and they wonder like, how can I get that? And I know most people cannot afford my consulting services. That's usually for a large corporation, a bigger celebrity, a bigger creative or entity who's bringing in a little bit more money than the average day person. So I wanted to make something that was accessible so that I don't feel like I'm giving, because knowledge, I know, you know, social media has us a little jaded that the knowledge that I've worked for should be freely given. And, you know, there's a give and a take for what that looks like. However, I was like, how can I still feel like I'm not just giving of the work that I've taken so many years to perfect? It takes a lot of work to get here. I've had over a decade of experience in that, and it's only so much you can give out for free because my work is based on my knowledge. So when someone, it's almost like going in a store and like you would never just pick up something for free and take it out. It's the same way when it comes to a lot of the knowledge that I've accumulated over the years and I've worked so hard, but I still wanted people to have access to that in a way that I felt like was fair and still accessible to the majority. So that's when I came up with the 75 Not So Hard Social Media Guide. A lot of you that follow me, you have my guide. A lot of people were saying like, oh my goodness, this guide has been so helpful. In that guide, I specify the tools and the apps and everything that I use, and you all, it's at such a low price. It's accessible. It's cheaper than 2 coffees in the morning that you might have grabbed, you know, on a 2-day, maybe, you know, depending on where you're at. If you're in New York City, San Francisco, larger, you might be paying this every morning, but it's at a great price, and I give reasonable and amazing tools. I surpass even telling you the camera gear, the apps that I use, the things I use to edit. I tell you a lot of the knowledge that when it comes to strategy of how I plan my content, the different platforms I use for that. I go into so much, giving you 75 core tips that I probably use every single week. So if that's something that you are interested in, I created the 75 Not So Hard Social Media Guide, and I know that you will get so much out of it. Consulting, which I guess it kind of leads to that. People want to know a little bit more about like how I got started and like my day-to-day. And I'm thinking of how I can put that into a series. So I hear you on that, and I'm trying to see like what that could look like. I think the tricky part comes with the confidentiality part of I don't really talk a lot about that side of work. So I try to have this line of what do I show, what do I not show? And also I think because the work, it's always a lot of times so much work, to actually show that work too becomes a bit excessive. I'm a small business and I have to work in smart systems. So even when putting out YouTube, I want it to be something that I can provide and give you all something every week, just showing a little bit of what I'm doing. But again, that is something I am thinking about and trying to figure out. So I hear you all, because I know that's been a popular comment that I've seen. Fashion Week. Oh, wait, the creative side. Before I get to Fashion Week, let me talk about the creative side. So just as much as I'm a consultant, from a creative perspective, I also, a lot of times I'm forefront. That's probably a lot of what you see on, I would say like Instagram, for example. Instagram is not fully consulting first. It's me as a personality. I have a separate consulting page on Instagram. I have a separate consulting page on LinkedIn. That is more so space where people, again, can find me. It's not really necessarily where I'm putting out like things consistently like I do my personal platform. My personal platform is just what that is. It's my personal platform. So I would go as far as to say like Instagram, that's maybe 5% of who I am. And it's a very small selection of curated content that I choose to share. And a lot of times people will make an entire assumption based on that 5% of curated content, which I always find is so interesting. A bit weird, but that's me as a creative and being more in the forefront. You'll see a lot of branded partnerships, people that I work with. A lot of times, hint, hint, if I've done a project, a personal project for them, such as being a creative or in the influencer space, I probably most likely have consulted for them. If that gives you any indication. I'm gonna leave that there. Which is nice too, because if I understand it from a consulting side, me as a creative, I can do it front facing too, especially if I'm mapping out what the influencers should do. If I'm picking out who the influencers are, I most likely can also put out a piece of content that matches that as well. So that's always fun to do, to play both sides of consulting on a project, but then also being front facing for something. So for the most part, I managed a lot of like my own personal contracts when it came to being a creative, when it came to doing like influencer projects, etc. But it became a little bit much on my plate, and I wanted to relinquish that part. And I'm gonna say two things here. I wanted to relinquish that part, but I also have a lot of fun doing that part too. So I had to be realistic with myself for this year. A lot of what I'm doing this year from a business perspective, I am trying to figure out how I could grow comfortably, where I don't feel stressed out or strained, but I'm also progressing here, you know, if that makes any sense. I really want to hone in on my craft and get better at it and what it looks like. I want to work with different partners. I've envisioned a lot of different brands that I want to work with that are in the fashion space, but that are also outside of the fashion space. And so I am just trying to think basically how to work smarter, not harder here. A part of my planning for this year was YouTube was a big part of that. Let me start YouTube. I know the investment in it. I've done other celebrity YouTube accounts. I have managed, you know, larger luxury fashion YouTube accounts. And I feel like I have the knowledge, and I posted about this on LinkedIn this past week. I took all of that knowledge to start my account, starting from nothing and really growing this account in this first 25 videos. It's been amazing, but I do feel like this is a platform that's worth the investment. But then also, how do I maneuver things off of my plate in a strategic and smart way while I still feel like I am maximizing and getting, you know, my return? So I went ahead and signed with an agency this year. I ended up signing with Ford Models. Like, that is so exciting to me. Let me stop there. It's so exciting to me, and I am so happy. It honestly felt like a relief, to be honest with you, just to be like, you know what, let me go ahead and relinquish this and let this go. And it's not even a full relinquish, and I had to stop looking at it like that. It's more so I had to think of it in, I am maximizing my potential, I am scaling, and this is a step in that direction. So yeah, I feel good about this step. I didn't really talk about it much on any other platform. I didn't talk about it at all on any other platform. I want to show you the work ethic versus like tell you about my work ethic. So I wanted to like fill it out a little bit, see how the first few months go, and I'm feeling really good. I feel like I have a really good strategy into place. 1 second, I need to answer a message. The very last thing I'm going to talk about, because I think everyone's excited for it, and I'm sorry, I'm excited for it, is Fashion Week. Fashion Week is coming up. And if you joined along my YouTube journey, the very first video that I put out, I went to Couture Fashion Week. And we went to Schiaparelli. Like, I'm coming in heavy this Fashion Week. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put out that good energy. I'm gonna say what I want. I want to book amazing shows this Fashion Week, but I want to be intentional about brands that I actually purchase, that I wear, that I feel are moving in the direction that I'm moving in, that hold the same values that I hold. I feel really excited for this Fashion Week season. I missed the February Fashion Week season. Again, if you follow me, I actually went home for my sister. She gave birth to my baby nephew. He's so adorable. He's so sweet, you guys. I can't show him because he's not going to be on camera for a while. But I went home, family comes first. But now that it's September, we're hitting the ground running. We're going to do this right. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of hard work. And I really want to show you the process of how I do Fashion Week, to be honest with you. And that actually starts now. A lot of the process and the steps are being like put into place. We're already planning for New York Fashion Week, which is in a few weeks. And then I'm going to do Paris Fashion Week as well. London Fashion Week is now put on the table, which I have not been to. London Fashion Week was my first international fashion week. And I remember the chills that I felt as I like landed. London was my very first international trip too. So as someone that didn't get her passport until like later on in life, and it came through work, I just remember all the feelings that I felt during London Fashion Week. So we might be exploring and experiencing that. So with that being said, if you have any questions for me and anything that you want me to show you along the way when it comes to Fashion Week, please put your questions below. I want to make sure I give you an experience on YouTube. I'm not only excited about Fashion Week, I actually am excited to show you all everything. But if you have specific questions about Fashion Week or anything that you want to see, whether it's backstage content, how do I get to shows, what does that look like, the dressing, the makeup, the hair, the after parties, the content that's going to be rolling out, the sleep that I'm not going to be getting. I don't know. I just feel really good about this Fashion Week season coming up. But enough about that. I got stuff to do today. Let's get some cleaning done. I know it looks clean right now, but there's stuff behind you. What's the weather? 81 degrees. Oh my gosh, that's so nice. Okay, yes, we're going outside. Maybe we go outside first and then we come back and clean. And somebody's got to do it. Or it's not gonna get done, and that's gonna be me. Okay, let's go.